Welcome guys, this is Nick Parakatis on tip number 1 on percents. First things you want to know is a bit of vocab that's very important for the SAT. We're going to start off with a few words that you want to make sure you understand what they mean, so when they pop up on the SAT you know how to translate these in sentences. The word what basically means a variable. Okay. It could be variable x, it could be any letter you want. The word is translates to an equal sign. So whenever you hear the word is, it means the equal sign. The word of means multiplication. Okay, times or x, right? The word percent means divided by 100. Okay. Let's do a little example here. Move down the page a bit. Let me see how we move down. Okay. Let's do an example. What? Select the pen here. Let's see. What is 20% of 75? Okay, and let's write this as an expression, as an equation. If we translate this, what again means equals. What is 20%? So it's 20 over 100 of, which means times 75. So we just wrote the sentence above as an expression. Let's go on to another example. What is 5% of 30? How do we write this? Let's check this out. What is 5% of 30? There you go. And here's another example. $72 is what percent of 25? If you want to write this as an expression, as a sentence, a mathematical equation, 72 is what percent of 25? Okay, the next formula you need to know on percent is the formula of percent change. Percent change is equal to the change. It could be an increase or a decrease. That's why it's good to put it in an absolute value. If something is an increase, the change is positive. If something is decreasing, the change is negative. But by putting the absolute value here, you always get a positive answer. So it's the change over the original value all times 100. Okay, so percent change is the change that's happening over the original value times 100. Okay, we're going to be looking at an SAT problem. This is from an actual SAT problem. It's from test number 7 in the blue book. It's test number 9, question 3. It's on page 796 of the blue book. It's an easy question, so I picked this one so you guys can see an example of percent. It says, if 30% of M is 40, what's 15% of M? The trick here, you know that 30% of M is 40. 15% is just half of 30%. One way you could write this down, you can just say that, let's write it down right here. So 30% of M is 40, right? How can you get 15% of M? It's pretty, you can just divide both sides by 2. If you do that, you just have both sides divided by 2 right away. 30% divided by 2 is 15% of M is 20. And that's what the question wants. What's 15% of M? And right away you see from the answer that we have that 15% of M is just 20. And the correct answer is B. Okay, here's a percent question. This one is again from the blue book. It's test 3. It's section 2 of the test, and it's number 15. This one asks us to find which is the equivalent of a half of 23% of 618. The trick here is to write this as an equation, a sentence. So what you can do, you can say, what is a half of 23% of 618. If you guys notice right away, 618 divided by a half, if you divide these two, you can just say 618 divided by a half is 309. So this could be rewritten as 23% times 309. And if you guys notice, these are one of the answers. 23% of 309 is answer A. So that's the correct answer. Again, the trick here is to notice that 618 over 2 can be written as 309. And basically the answer pops up right away. Okay guys, this is a medium question from test 8, section 3. This is a percent question. It says that a salesman's monthly gross pay consists of $1,200 plus 20% of the dollar amount of his sales. We can call this amount X. The dollar amount of... Okay. If his gross pay for 1 month was $2,500, what was the dollar amount of sales? The easiest way to look at this problem is to solve it algebraically. Basically translate the information into an equation. And And we can do that by saying that the gross pay, which is 1,200 plus 20%, we can write that as a decimal, 0.20 of his sales times X is equal to 2,500. Basically, your unknown is, I'll change the color here. Your unknown is X. There's your unknown. All you got to do right now is solve for X. It's just a linear equation. So how do you solve this? You just subtract 1,200 from both sides. So you have 0.20x is 2,500 minus 1,200. 0.20x is equal to 1,300. Divide both sides by 0.20. And you get your answer. X is equal to, if you do this on your calculator, 6,500. Put in the units there, dollars. Okay, this is a level 5 problem, or a more difficult percent problem you can find on the SAT. It's from test 4, section 3, and it's question 20. It says, there are 75 more women than men enrolled in Linden College. If there are N men enrolled, then in terms of N, what percent of those enrolled are men? Okay. I think an algebraic approach is probably the fastest one. So if N is number of men and the number of women, there are 75 more women than there are men, so N plus 75 is number of women. The total then, right away, is N plus 75, everybody together, which is 2N plus 75. The fraction of the men in terms of N is the number of men, N, over the total, which is 2N plus 75, times 100, because they want the answer as a percent. So if you simplify the above expression, it's 100 over 1. So you have 100N over 2N plus 75. And right away, the answer is E. Last example. What is 300% of 35% of 25% of N? The way to solve this is to translate it into an equation. So what is 300% of, remember of means multiplication, 35% of 25% of N. And all you do here is you just simplify this. Simplify this, you get 0.2625, and again you do this using your GDC. Thank you guys for following. Again, it's Nick Parakatis with SAT tips on percents.